Okay, so the user journey map. The idea behind this exercise is to understand what our users are going through, who are involved in the process. This is a tool. This is a tool for us to understand the user journey and understand important things about it. Now, when we do user experience, user journey, they are usually much more detailed than the sprint user journey, because they have different purposes. When we do user journeys in user experience design, we want to understand the bits and bytes of the user experience and understand what we're going through in each step. But when you do it for the sprint, what we are focusing on is understanding the business flow. And we do this to identify where are the main pain points in the user journey that we want to solve. This exercise forces us to look at stuff from the perspective of the user. And that's an exercise that is surprisingly rare. And usually when we think about the user journey, we think about ourselves, like how we do stuff, what we want to do. But this exercise forces us to look at things from the perspective of the user and the state of mind she is when she's using our product. So this needs to be very rough. And if you find yourself doing something very detailed, you're doing it wrong, okay? What we do is we start by outlining the actors, okay? Who are our users in the process, okay? So if we're talking about a coffee shop, and it'll be a coffee buyer and maybe the barista, okay? Coffee buyer, to buyer, and barista, okay? So that's the first thing. And then we look at their goals. We put at the end and we think, what do they want? So they have the best. They want to have the best coffee, and some Kodar, clear mind. Okay. And the barista, they just want to deliver great coffee. Okay. So we have like the motivation, okay? Or maybe they just want to end their shift, but we want to understand the motivation, the real motivation, before we start that. And then we divide the user journey into 3 steps, okay? Discover is, where do I start to solve my problem? How do the users learn about us, know about us? Why is that important? Is because usually here we talk about our channels, and different channels puts our users in different state of mind when they reach us. So maybe they discover us through Facebook ads. Maybe they discover us because somebody referred them to us, and maybe they just passed in the street and decided to go into our coffee shop. Each of these discovery channels is putting our users in a different context. So just for us to understand, and also this is rarely asked when we deal like with user experience, right? So what we do is we do that exercise with the stakeholders before the sprint. So we may ask them this question without showing them the map. So where do the users meet, like first hear about you? And they tell us that makes them think, oh, and that there's email too. And there's like, so that's kind of the discovery phase. What we're doing is we're exploring the challenge framework. We're looking at the challenge. So that's one prism of looking at it. And then after that, we say, okay, you heard about this here. How do our users learn about us? What do they learn and how? So we're just talking about channels. So they read in our website, they hear us in the blog, they come to our webinars, whatever. This is how they learn about us and our service. And we just outline them. And in the use, we write the steps, the basic steps, understanding of the process of using our product. So in case of coffee, that'll be like order a coffee, select the type, pay, drink the coffee, leave a tip, and go outside. Maybe we say refer a friend as well. So these are the steps, and that's how general it should be. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a pen and pencil, a paper and pen, and just scribble. I'll give you like 5 minutes or 7 minutes together alone. So everybody, each one of you alone, just draw something like that. Put yourself as a user, and let's talk about just for your insights, like finding love or dating. Let's make it dating, okay? So just draw the user journey of dating. How do you discover your partner? How do you learn about her or him? And what's going on in the date? And what's your goal? Just write that. So some of you, it's a daily practice. Some of you is a long way, like me. Happened a long time ago, but it's nice to remember. So, so let's have 7 minutes and some music. Anybody needs some
Can
clarity?
You let me share the sound?
Yeah, that. Okay, so can you also share your screen so they'll have the map in front of their eyes? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Just put music and then. Okay.
You can't hear the music, yeah?
Oh. Okay, just a second. Can you hear it?
She's got to have it. Or maybe you're a perfect 10. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I gotta bang it up. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I gotta bag it up. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I gotta bag it up. I like the way you work it, She's got class and style, street knowledge by the mile. Oh, baby, never act wild. She's very low-key on the profile. Some villains ears are known. Let me tell you how it goes. Curves the word, spins the verb. Lovers it curse, so freak what you heard. Oh, way, oh, way, oh. Oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. Oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. Oh, man, that girl look good. Oh, way, oh, way, oh, way, oh. gotta bag it up. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I gotta bag it up. I like the way you work it on. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I gotta bag it up. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I gotta bag it up. I like the way you work it, no diggity. I gotta bag it up. I like the way you work it.
As you're working, so few points. One is that during workshops, on contrary than meetings, we give people time to think. And that's something that sometimes is strange to people. We just, or suddenly I have time to think, and then 7 minutes is suddenly such a long time, and you're so productive. Because we rarely give ourselves that 7 minutes during the day. We're like busy doing, but not actually concentrating. So that's one thing I want to point out on just the outline of why it's worthwhile doing workshop. Another thing that is I want you to understand about the user journey map is that we usually do that before the sprint starts, and then we explore it during the sprints. Now, originally when we did in-person sprints, we used to draw it in real time with the users. And that's what we're going to do now after you finish the exercise. And that has its virtues because then things come up and we talk about them. But we found out after a lot of iterations that it's much better for us to come with a prepared user journey map, because it shows the research that went into the sprint before the sprint, and it instantly gives people clarity from the user perspective. So what we do is we conduct the expert interviews when we have the user journey map in the background. And that way we have context to a user context to our expert interviews, which we talked about like 2 months ago in our month session. You can go back and listen to that exercise. We will refer to the exercise we did in our last workshop, but the user journey map is a very good context for us to understand what are the questions we need to ask the experts or the users. Okay, so how was it for you to draw the user journey map? Anybody? Is that okay? Any questions?
You can you know, unmute yourself and open your cameras. It would be really nice.
Yeah. Anybody? Any questions? Hi, Mark. Yes.
Sorry, there's somebody talking here as well. I hope you're not too disrupted. Well, it's going back for quite a few years, trying to figure out how we dated. It was very low tech back then. Which actually makes me wonder if, like, you're going through these steps, like, is that how we did it? I guess that's how we did it, and how different it must look now. Like the journey now for like the younger kids must be so different than we did it like 20 years ago.
That's true.
16 years ago.
I'm counting.
Yeah, that's. I'm afraid to ask at home. So.
Yeah.
Was it 16 years, honey? No, it was 18, you moron. So yeah, it was a fun exercise.
Yeah, good. So I actually, it's a good point that you make. So first of all, that's why we do interviews before that, so we understand how it's done. And in this case, if I had to do a dating app, I'll probably do like go over how dating is done today, because I'm in the same boat with you. It's been a while, a long while, longer than you. It also goes back to a question we're often asked, if the user journey map should look like how it is today or how it should be to our views. So that's like we present something, and then one of the things in a sprint, we may want to change the entire user journey. So usually it's better to document what's now, and we can change it. It just needs to give clarity, just needs to make sense. And in essence, the way we dated long time ago is not essentially different, because we got a lead about somebody, we got them to agree to meet us, and then we met. Like maybe we were referred by a friend, which is still relevant, or we were and blind dated by. So the leads are a little different, but the essence is we met, we decided if we want to move forward, and so forth. So essentially the user journey map did not change in the use part, but then the learn and discover is so much different. That's the way innovation happened in many senses. Okay, so moving forward, Aya, can you take over this? So I'm going to hand over the workshop to Aya, to our second part.
So can you see the map? I just wanted to make sure that everyone see the map.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So so as Ram already mentioned, this is the most important, one of the most important parts in the sprint. And the most important thing here in the mapping exercise is to align and focus on the area you want to solve and also test. So in this exercise, you need to decide on the area you want to focus on, the area you think might solve your challenge. And I want you to remember not to spend too much time on the map. It won't lead you to better outcomes. And so the most important thing is to really focus on the main area and get alignment from all team members. And also, and this is relevant to all exercise in the design sprint. Don't try to get it perfect. Okay, so if you feel you're 60% right, don't try to get to 100%. Okay, so that's like trust the process. It's part of the process of the design sprint. Some of you might already be familiar with the user journey map, especially if you come from UX design, service design, the design thinking flow and process methodology. But as you'll see, this map is much more simplified than the design thinking process. Okay, so as Ram showed you, we'll need to identify who our main actors are. And I want to take as an example the pizzeria, the Unicorn Pizzeria. So some of you are taking the course, and I guess you are familiar with this use case. And some of you are new, and you might not be familiar with this use case. Ram, do you want us to like do a quick overview? Yeah,
let's tell the story, and we show you like. So yeah, we have like just tell a story, and let's talk about the main pains we found in our previous workshops.
Okay, so basically, this use case we took, the Unicorn Pizzeria, is a pizzeria which is owned by Orit's twin, and she has like this great pizzeria, and she wants us to help her build an app because there's all kinds of challenges. So I'm going to show you some of the like main challenges that we found in our previous hands-on workshop. Okay, so so let's just get I'm going to read them. Okay, so the first one is, how might we remind parents how great it is to have kids? And the second one is, how might we make it really easy and fast to order? That was like a really painful point that you had to call, and then the kids are going crazy, and this one kid wants olives, her pizza, and the other one's only cheese, and so on and so forth. And then we had another challenge, how much we improve the delivery and packaging process. We talked about how the boxes are very big, and they like a large amount of space in the table, and it's very it's convenient. And then we had another challenge. We talked about how much we make the boxes more convenient, how much we help to clean the mess after the pizza is eaten. Like, you have these big boxes, and you have to, like, somehow fold them and get rid of them, and the pizza leftovers, and so that mess. And how can we save the location so we don't have to keep asking the customers about their address? So that was another pain point. People were mentioning and talking about, they had to keep and remind the pizzeria where they live and how to get there, and so on. Okay, so these are like the most important challenges that we talked about in our last hands-on workshop. So now, what I'd like to do is I would like to go over the journey together with you, okay? And maybe just 1 second before we dive into that, I just want to tell a really short story. When Ram and I created this map for you, this unicorn pizzeria use case, we thought about the kids and the parents as one actor. We said, okay, so we have like the parents and we have the kids. And we thought, yeah, it makes sense, like family, right? And then as we talked about it, it became clearer that the parents have their own flow and their own goal. And the same goes for the kids, they have a different goal. They have their own flow. So it's interesting to think about it, and it's very important to keep that in mind. We have several actors here, right? We have the parents, and then we have the kids. They have their own flow, and then we have the pizzeria, the unicorn pizzeria. Right? Okay. And now, what I'd like us to do together, you can send your answers in the chat. Okay, you can, I think it will be most convenient if you just send your answers in the chat. So let's start from how the parents discover about the unicorn pizzeria. How do they discover? So ideas about how do they do that? How do they discover? Okay, so we have.
Yeah, so we have Facebook ads, and Google. I'll read the text so you can just.
Great. Okay, thank you, Ram. Facebook ads, yes. Google.
Yelp. Google, Yelp.
Okay.
Friends.
Okay, so I'll try. I'll write word of mouth. We call that word of mouth. Okay.
Yeah. And their kids.
Okay.
This is a real insight.
Yeah.
And we have like flyers and street signs and Instagram. So let's, okay. So that's enough. So we have already like a long list of things for the parents to discover. Let's move onwards.
Okay, so now let's think together about how do they learn about the unicorn pizzeria? How do they? You can again send your thoughts in the chat.
Website.
Okay.
Website, social media.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Friends.
Friends. Okay, so that's
word of mouth, right? Reviews.
Okay.
Okay. Referrals, friend recommendations or referrals, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Email or mail. snail mail menu. Like that's true. So yeah, can be like also on Yelp or on like whatever like restaurant site we can have. Okay, fine. That's enough for us, for the parents to learn. Let's move onwards
Okay,
for
so
the
I'll
use.
add, so the parents, this is how they discover, and then this is how they learn about it. And then let's think about how they use it. Okay, how they use this service. What do they do?
What's the first step?
Yeah, what's the first step?
Yeah, so phone will be like call is probably will be the first step. That's
So
true.
they call, okay, they call the pizzeria.
Call pizzeria. So here we're not talking about channels. We're just talking about abstract steps. So either they call through their website or through the so they're like the idea is that in the use they first like reach out, right? That's like call, can be on the pizzeria website or wherever. They just reach out. Maybe call is not as good as reach out. This first step is reach out, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then the next step.
Like what do they
What's the
do?
next step?
They place,
So
okay, right. Okay, so they
it
placed an order, but maybe, you know, some of the, I just want to remind you about the pain points we talked about in our last session. Maybe some of you don't remember, or you couldn't make it. So some of the pain points were people talking about, you know, the kids are going crazy, a lot of noise, and, you know, the whole process.
somebody wrote here. So Luba called make a choice, which is yeah, make a choice, and so that's actually so they
Choose.
reach out and choose. They choose like type or what they
Oh,
want.
okay.
That
Sorry,
happens.
my mouse is going crazy. Just a second. Okay. Okay. What's going on? Oh, okay. Sorry for that. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, so they choose, right? And then what happens?
Then yeah,
They
they
place an
complete
order.
the order. That's yeah, they place an order.
Right.
They give their credit and details and whatever. And what's the next step? So after they do what's the next step? Hey, help us here. Anybody? Delivery. So I would, yeah, wait. I would say wait is a very, very important
Yeah,
step.
right.
Oksana, I think you nailed it here.
There's a lot
So,
of
yeah.
waiting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really important for us in the user journey. So we place an order and then inevitably we have to wait. And let's go further. So there's a delivery, right? Let's now look how abstract this is in terms of it's really high level. Okay, and what the parents do after delivery? They
Eat.
eat.
Yeah.
Well, actually, parents before they eat, yeah, they set the table. They actually they actually divide the food and bring. Usually, it's the last thing they do is they eat. Yeah, let's put they eat.
Give the kids.
Fight off children. Yeah, Martin, exactly. So first you need to calm the children, and that makes us think from the user's perspective. So see how powerful this is. We already think about the steps that we have to, and each one of them is different. Okay, so the last thing, almost the last. So after setting the table, what we're doing? What are we doing on the last thing? We're setting the table. Yeah, eat finally. That's fine. Let's eat. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, eat.
Okay. So, and what's our goal? Eat.
Okay, let's just finish the user journey if we already started. And finally, after eating, so feedback is there's a lot for them to do. They already paid. Sometimes they pay. That's true. Somebody wrote sometimes we don't pay before. We pay during after delivery, so we have an internet. But yeah, Eran is totally right. After eating, we need to clean.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
The mess. Yeah, right. Clean the mess.
clean the mess. Okay. Okay, so this is you don't want to go more detailed than this. So what's the end goal? Can you tell me now after we looked at the what's the end goal of the parent? Quiet kids. That's one goal. Let's put it down. Okay, and because we've done the unicorn pizzeria, we discussed that this is we wanted, it's one of the goals, we wanted them to be healthy. Yeah, healthy food. So we want quiet, healthy kids, right? So that's our it's our parents' goal. So one thing I really want you to understand is look how concrete this is. So one of the things that the sprint is doing for you is making things concrete, right? It makes us understand what is going on and what we're doing. And in doing so, we help us to promote things. Yes, Michal, the great thing about pizza is that there's no mess. It's simple. That's in our motivation. But the user journey map is looking at these and the journey. So then we will, Aya, can you open the full map that we did? Which I think was less detailed even, right?
Yes, right. I agree.
I think that the map we did now is better actually, but we were.
So this is, yeah, so this is what we did.
Yeah, so you can see like the final outcome, and we were like a little more easy, but I think this we got some insights here. Can you scroll down so they can see also the pizzeria? And you can see that each one of the actors has her own path, okay? And Aya, can you talk about the next steps, about the pains?
Yeah, sure. So what we usually do when we work on the map, we take the most voted on how might we's, and we place them on the map together with the team. So we can start from together. Let's do it together. And then what we do, we start to place the how might we's on the map, and then we do that because we want to see where we want to focus in the sprint. If we want to focus, if we have a lot of how might we's posted on in the discover section, so we're probably going to put our effort and focus there. Same goes for the learn or use section. And another like a rule of thumb here is when you have like, it's not like you have like some post-its on the discover section and some other post-it on the learn section. We always go left in the flow because you want to solve the problems earlier. So we do that because we think that if we solve the problems earlier in the process, everything else will be solved on its own. Okay, so let's start from the first. How might we? Okay, so how might we make it really easy and fast to order? Okay, so let's think here together. Okay, so how might we make it really easy and fast to order? Where should we put it? In the discover section, in the learn section, and maybe in the use section. Where do you think, like, in the use section? Yeah, yeah, I agree. This how much we belongs in the use section, right?
Yeah.
Ram, you wanted to say something?
No, that's exactly where it is. Okay,
So the next, how might we post it is, how might we improve the delivery and packaging process? Okay, so what do you think, guys? Where should we put it? In the discover section, the learn section, or the use section? The use section as well. Right, I agree. Yeah, this belongs to the use section as well. So the next, how might we make the boxes more convenient? Well, what do you think? It's a bit tricky because the boxes, it's like it's a different flow. It's like maybe.
I think it's where we set the table is where we address from the user perspective the size of the box, right? That's where the pain is. So let's put it there, where we set the table.
Okay, so that's on the use section as well.
Yeah, or in the it's also, that's Tom is right. It can be around setting the table and cleaning the mess.
Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. So the next one is how might we help to clean the mess after the pizza is eaten? Any thoughts here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's clean the mess. So we have it on the user journey.
Okay. And the last one, how can we save the location so we don't have to keep asking the customer about their address? What do you think? The discover, the learn, or the use? Where should I put it?
The place in order. Yeah, that goes there.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you can see, like we have a very, very clear decision here. Okay, I'll color it.
Can I just say one word? Okay,
yeah,
about these. Okay, so this is where, like, this is a powerful moment in the sprint. Okay, why? Because we are jumping ahead of us in the process of the sprint. So I'm just going to review a little of what we've done so far to reach what IA is doing now. So first thing, we had like first thing we had is we interviewed the stakeholders. This was 2 weeks ago. We had that in mind. We talked about that they did not see the map, right? They did not see the map. And then they reach the sprint and boom, we do the expert interview, but we show them the map and we give them a few minutes just to explore it. Just look at this before they put any of the challenges. And we talk about the user journey during the explore part. And then we let them, during the conversation, write those how might we's. And then we go and vote on them and prioritize. Everybody forgets the how might we's. And then we move onwards to the long-term goal, and we talk about like the can we's, we go all there, and then eventually we go back to the map and we say, okay, let's look at our how might we's in light of our can we's and our long-term goals, and let's do what we did now. And now everything falls in place because the decider have enough information to make a very important decision, okay, of what are we going to prototype? Who is the user that we're going to prototype, and what place in the journey? Now, it looks like a clear cut in this exercise, like we should prototype the use. In many cases, in most cases, it's not the main, it's not that easy. Usually we have a lot of challenges in the discover and learn. And many things that we want to examine are actually things we want to examine early in the process. So we always want to move as left as we can on the user journey when we prototype. Because remember that in any business, we don't get to the use without passing discover and learn. And if we have challenges there, communicating our like core value proposition, which is usually it, then we need to address them. So if we're selling healthy pizza, we want to communicate this and convince our users really early on the learn that they are buying healthy pizza. So when in doubt, we go as left as we can. Even here, we're looking at the use part, and we don't want to prototype the entire use. So the order, placing of order has like 3 challenges, and the around the cleaning the mess has 2 challenges, and we can consider doing one of them. It's maybe not a good idea if we do both of them, because we can't explore and solve everything. We just need to look where are the pains. Another tool we're using to select like what are we prototyping is selecting, is looking at our can we's. I'm going to jump, not everybody know what the can we's are, but what we do in the sprint, we ask, what is our long-term goal? What we want to achieve? And then we ask ourselves, what will block us from getting there, and phrasing it as a can we statement. So can we convince parents that pizza is a healthy food? Okay. So when we choose the prototype, we have to consider not only the challenges that we need to solve, but also the questions, and mainly the questions we want to get answers on in the user testing. And this goes back to the way I started the conversation, telling you about the one thing you can, if you want to take one thing out of the design sprint, is the user testing. And what we do from the entire thing is we get so much bonus of understanding the user journey and mapping it and everything. But what we really want to focus is what are we bringing in front of our users to answer the most burning questions we have in our sprint. Aya, do you want to add anything here? There's one circle that Aya, you didn't do yet, but probably because I stopped you. You need to also circle the who. So we decide on prototyping for the parents. It's not recommended to do more than one user in a sprint. So we will be prototyping the parents in the use section.
Right.
Any questions? Anybody?
Yeah, so maybe I just wanted to like emphasize what Ram just mentioned about the map. That the map goes with us all through the sprint. Like we decided that we're going to focus on the use section, and our main users are going to be the parents. And this is something that will go all through the process of the sprint. So now that we know that our main users are the parents, we can start searching for users. We can start hunting for users, and that will be, we should keep that in mind when we do the rest of the exercises in the sprint.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If it's okay. How does the discover and learn contribute to the user journey?
Okay, so when we're looking at we want to do user-centered design. So in many cases, we prototype the learn, and we also prototype that. So for example, if I'm doing a new app, okay, that I want to convince people to download, that I want to show in the prototype the ad that would bring them to the prototype. And then I want to show them the app store and how I communicate the user value. Maybe it's more important for me to know that what I'm selling is desirable through that. So from the user perspective, we want to understand what they know in each step of the way. And if we understand that, for example, let's take Superhuman. You know the email application Superhuman? So
Mhm.
they're like it's an email client, and their marketing approach was saying, we make this totally exclusive. You need to wait in a waiting list, and the CEO of the company will guide you through the mail, the email, because they wanted to create this kind of elite exclusive feel to the journey. And also they saw a very big problem in people trying out email clients and just leaving them. So they wanted to make sure that their first like strongest advocates will be very passionate about the things that they offer. So they invested most of their innovation in the discover and learn phase, where they do a workshop showing you all the keyboard shortcuts. And that's the big user experience change. That's why we put it there, because in many cases we overlook this when we do product design. We say, oh, okay, so how do we use our product? But the usage of our product does not start when after we download and open the app. The engagement with us starts when they first see our ad. And that's something we need to design. It's a problem to solve. It goes inside, because once you can sell something, it's so much easier to design it, because phrasing the product market value proposition of the product, being able to clearly communicate, also makes the life of the designers so much easier. We just want you to the big but we just want to search, that's Google. That's a value proposition, just search, So there's a big button called search. That's it. You don't want anything else. But we understand it. Did I answer the question?
Yes, somewhat. It just it the way you describe it, it seems to me like a big effort in this stage when you develop the feature, and that's could be really time consuming, which means delay in delivering, in agile terms.
We just ran this. This is how detailed it should be. So it took like 5 minutes just to understand the context. You don't need to do research. We all know that. It's just like listing the channels and where they learn. That's it. Sometimes you want to prototype it, and it makes development like 10 times faster if you understand what you want to communicate. So if you're doing a feature in your product, like a small feature, you don't run a design sprint. That's not for what it's for. User journey for a feature is like detailed journey of the user. It's not this. This is for big problems that's worthwhile bringing all the key stakeholders in the room. A design sprint is only for that. If you don't have a big problem, then don't run a design sprint. You can extract some of this. You can say, well, for this, it's a flow in the product. I don't care. They're already in. I don't care about the learn and discover. That's completely reasonable.
Okay, that's make more sense for me.
Okay.
I have a quick question too. Sure. Would you, Ryan? So let's take. I come from product early discovery stages. So let's say for a new idea to be brought to life, where you do need to, or it goes through discovery, learn, and use. How might we? Would you suggest different sprints that attend? You suggested earlier we wouldn't focus. So imagine we are working, starting from value proposition to nailing, to diving into how the journey within use it will look like, learn and discover. So essentially we end up with lots of how mights to throw to the three different areas. Would you suggest that those are different sprints that are focusing on different areas? If not accommodating at the same, can we go for a value proposition plus prototyping main screens of MVP in the same sprint?
So,
am I clear with my question?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a very good question. So there's like a few things I have to say about this. So we can't solve all the problems together. So we need to prioritize our challenges and start from the point that we're solving now, that is the most burning. And you have two guides here. The one is, and how might we's are not a guide here. What guiding us is the can we's. Okay, we set the long-term goal, and then we think backwards. We say, so this is where we want to be in 2 years' time. What are the things that will block us? The things that makes us, the three things that makes us not sleep at night because we're not sure we're going to solve it. Okay, so for the mayor, I told at the beginning of the session, his worries is that it'll take too long to publish a site. He said from start to go, all my business is built on that in 3 minutes, they have a published site. And he was really worried that the user experience and the questions we ask will be too long and he will have a huge drop-off rate. And then all the traffic, he needs to be more people and at all costs. So that was the focal point. We wanted to validate this. And so we solved only that, just that chunk of the problem, okay? When we, so these are the guidelines, the can we's. The second guideline is the scope of the user testing. You can't do more than 45 minutes conversation with the user. You can't, it's just not efficient anymore. You don't learn new stuff from that session, you just diverge. User testing should be 45 minutes. And you get 85 of, from the 5 users, you get 80% of the valuable feedback you'll get from, like, if you interview 10. So you don't need to. So you need to consider the scope of your prototyping to the scope of 40 minutes conversation. If you show too much stuff to the user, you're not getting more, you're getting less. Our recommendation is that it should be like 15 interactions in the course of a prototype, like 15 clicks. That's a good estimation. So a prototype can look like a short flow, a short onboarding flow, and like a significant action in the system. Or it can be a landing page and a sign-up flow, if it's a complex one. For this, I would probably prototype. I would prototype the landing page, and I go until waiting. Okay, maybe I will show like the entire waiting till delivery. But if I really want to focus on like solving the cleanup mess, I think it's a big thing and it can be a big selling point. If I'm going for healthy food, that's one thing. If I'm going to be solving, like, my value proposition is there's no mess after that, then I would prototype what happens starting from delivery. It's complex enough. How do we help that? So I would try to focus that. We find ourselves sometimes doing really robust prototypes, especially in the iteration sprint. Another framework for scoping is what you can prototype in 1 day. And that's, I'm going to give you a very, very important tip. There's a big temptation when you do design sprint to say, well, it's a more complex thing. Let's give it more than 1 day prototyping. You're going into a rabbit hole. If you have enough time to do a back and forth with the client, show him and then show him again, or the stakeholder, things go south because they will want to change the design. They will start thinking about how they can make it better. And it doesn't matter at all. It just doesn't give you any more, the effort is not worthwhile. And that's why I'm saying, trust the process, wait after the user testing, because the user is talking about totally different thing that the decider is worried about. Totally. They're always talking about what's interesting for them, and we always talk about what's in it for us. How do we sell? And they're like, that will not help me. So that's the scope. I can prototype it in 1 day in the design sprint. I can talk about it 45 minutes. Big complex products often requires a few design sprints. So if I have like, well, if I'm looking at that, this can be 2 sprints, and we must prioritize. We don't do this in the same sprint. We say, well, let's focus on the ordering. That's the most important thing. We start getting flows, and then we'll sprint on the other half. When we do like we do the design sprint and iteration sprint, and then there's an opportunity, if everything went well in the design sprint, then the iteration sprint can deal with like moving onwards, the rest of the flow. We say, okay, we got this. If it really went south, then we are like, okay, we need to try something else. But most of the time, it's like 70% okay. We need to like tweak a little that, and we put our focus in the second part of the sprint, and we make sure it's not too long, but we can do that. And then, and also in the iteration sprint, we usually give 2 days for prototyping. We are able to do that because the client already trusts us. They already trust the process because they saw the user testing, and now they don't want to bother with the prototyping. They trust us. We do the prototyping. They know they're just waiting for the user testing. So in their mind, in their psychology, yeah, give it just, and then we can like over deliver. Sometimes like the iteration sprint, because we solved a lot of things in the design sprint, the iteration sprint, we're like over deliver. Oh yes, and we also put like all these ideas we had on the way, put it there, and there's like, okay, we learned so much, even more than we expected. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah, Oksana, did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Ah, good. Any other questions? Okay, so this ends our current session. We will be here next month. I just want to point out to people who are not students that we'll send you a link to our course. We teach all this in the course. And also I remind the students that are a student that we also give you consultancy on your first sprint. So you can call us if you're running a sprint, and we'll be happy to help you during that. That's a benefit from our course. And we just had this really good experience this week with that. And so that's another value we're happy to provide. And all of you just feel free to reach out. We're really passionate about it, as you probably noticed. So we answer anybody on any question. You can find us on YouTube and our Facebook, and you can direct message us, and we'll be totally happy. I really want to thank you for the attention.